Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things here. Really just on the miners as far as how they've been performing this past year, the beginning, first half, now into the second half, right? A lot of you guys are saying that they're decoupling from Bitcoin, which I kind of stated that they would for quite a while, that there was a possibility that it could happen, and it is happening right now. And then also MicroStrategy is doing a lot better than miners. Why is that happening? So we'll look at that first, and we'll get into the miners as far as how they progress over the year, and then what's going to possibly happen going into 2024. We'll talk about some of the things here a little bit, okay? But as always, you know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into it right here. So obviously, MicroStrategy has been doing pretty well here recently. It is, I mean, obviously it's up 1.2 billion in profit here ever since Bitcoin started going above, what is it, 28,000, 30,000, something like that. On the amount of Bitcoins that Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy is holding. So that's 158,000 Bitcoin. That's obviously going to drive the price of the stock up as well. The other thing is that we're seeing MicroStrategy going up and the miners not going down is because MicroStrategy's profits are not going to get cut in half on the Bitcoin that he owns, right? The reason the miners are going down right now, which is what I've been kind of saying here for a while. I started saying that in the beginning of the year. I'll show you guys a video. I did a video on this back in March of 28th of this year, where I said, will Bitcoin miners fall 50% before halving? And we kind of dove into this topic of last halving event, pre-halving event. We had the miners falling a full year before Bitcoin halving event happened, while Bitcoin was actually going up in value. So I kind of gave this out there back in March, saying that we might see this. We're not seeing it right now because at that point on March, we were basically in a 3-month bull rally already. But I still stated this for you guys just to have something in mind, right? I wanted you guys to be aware of this, that this is something that could be a possibility where eventually, possibly, the miners would decouple from Bitcoin and they would actually go down in value while Bitcoin possibly could be going up. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. So with Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, the reason it's not going down is actually going up. It's up 34% so far this second half of the year, compared to Bitcoin's only being up like 21, 23% so far this year, is because their Bitcoin that they do have, like I said, is not going to get cut in half. The revenue, basically, like the Bitcoin miners will, right? The Bitcoin miners come April of next year, more or less, somewhere around that time frame, when the halving event happens, their revenue is going to get cut in half. That's why we're seeing an exodus from the miners so far this year, the second half part of the year. What kind of fooled me a little bit earlier on this year, the first half of the year was doing really well. And I thought maybe that trend is not going to happen again like we had last time. But if we look at some of the charts here, so this first chart here is how the miners performed from beginning of this year, excuse me, where they basically bottomed out in December, late December, early January, through June, the end of June. So the first 6 months. This is how they have done. Some of you have also criticized me saying that the Bitcoin miners don't act as a leverage play, which they do, because you can see it here when things go right. But we do have these events, the halving events, where things kind of get swapped around a little bit. Bitcoin may go up, miners will come down, and we'll see this here in the next slide. But here you can see that at the end of the 6 months, Cypher was up 347% from the beginning of the year. Marathon was up 307. Hut 8 was up 303. Iris Energy was up 291. Rye was up 250%. Bitfarms 244%. Wolf 144%. Bitcoin was up 123%. CleanSpark was actually below that, 113%. That was mainly due to the dilution that they were doing for the growth, right? A lot of investors didn't like that. That's the reason why it has underperformed there. And then we got somebody else here up 84%, doesn't say which one here. But you can see here how pretty much all the miners here acted as leverage play against Bitcoin. Bitcoin being up only 123%. A lot of these guys were up 2, 3, even some as close as 4x. So this is kind of the expectation that we want or expect to see when we get after the halving event as well. Bitcoin's going up, might as well also do really well going forward. But like last halving event, pre-halving event, we saw the miners going down in price while Bitcoin was going up. And we're seeing this same thing happening here as of basically July of this year. A lot of these guys have actually peaked here towards the end of July as far as price is concerned. And after that, that was basically, what was that going to be? That was at the end of July. So we got August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Basically 9 months before the halving event, things started to dive on us here. And we can see here that the miners now are down as of July 1st. down quite a bit more than obviously where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's up 21% right now. Cypher is down 7.45%. Riot is down 22%. CleanSpark is down 23%. Bitfarms is down 26%. The blue line, not sure who's that. Wolf is down 51%, it looks like. What else do we have here? Riot, I said 22%. Marathon's down 37%. Hut down 38%. Hive is down 37%. So you can see how much the miners have kind of decoupled as we get closer to the halving event. Now, I do expect things to change once we get past the halving event, but it may take a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I don't know exactly how long, depending where Bitcoin goes. The other caveat to this is the spot Bitcoin ETF. If that gets approved, I think that may have a positive impact, obviously, on the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin probably should, at that point, go up in value. Not sure how much, but if it goes up quite nicely, I could see these miners turning around at that point. So it would be obviously before the halving event as well. That's why I keep saying dollar cost average into this, because we just don't know where the bottoms are going to be and when the reversals happen. And we just want to have as much stacked and miners as we possibly can before the halving event or before possibly the spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved. Okay, so here's how things have worked out so far. And then if we look at this chart here, I believe this is going to be the next chart of the full year. So this is going to be going from, January all the way to here. And you can still see that the miners are up actually pretty good. Maybe not as good as Bitcoin is right now. But if you look at it, you can see here from the beginning of the year, you had Cypher still being up 365%. Wolf is up 37%. So it's definitely lagging behind where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's up like 100-some percent, 130, 140%, something like that. Iris is up 148%. Bitfarms up 181%. Riot up 207%. Marathon 182%. HUD is up 165%. CleanSpark is down 86%. They're not down. They're up 86%, but they're down from where Bitcoin is. Hive is up 104%. And then MicroStrategy I added in here as well is up 251%. Right, so MicroStrategy has actually done like a 2x better than Bitcoin has this year currently. And that's obviously with Bitcoin going up in value, that's helping out all of the coins that MicroStrategy does hold. The value of those are going up tremendously. And that's 1.2 billion in basically revenue for them for just holding Bitcoin right now. So that's why we're seeing that difference here. Maybe next cycle going forward, if this repeats, we could see maybe get out of the miners 9 months, 10 months, 12 months ahead and buy into MicroStrategy or something like that if they're still around. Who knows? Next halving cycle. So we're learning through this as we get our second cycle here with the miners. Obviously, we've only had one cycle prior, so it's kind of hard to tell if there's a trend line happening here. Also, how is the spot Bitcoin ETF going to impact things? So we're learning as we kind of go through this as well. You guys are learning, I'm learning through this process as well. And we'll see if we have the same kind of cycles going forward, right? So one event does not make a historical trend, right? We need to have a couple historical events like this to know that there is a trend to these. But we'll definitely keep an eye on it and see how things go forward. And I mean, we still got 5 months before the halving event happens. We'll see where things go. In the meantime, I do think the miners will continue to kind of drag below Bitcoin. And then depending when the spot Bitcoin ETF is approved, that might change things around. Other than that, if that doesn't happen, then obviously towards after the halving event, that's when things will kind of turn around for us as far as the miners are concerned. But I'm not too concerned about this. We saw this last time. We're seeing it this time again. We'll just dollar cost average in. And, we just got to wait another year and a half or something like that, which was always the plan. It was always the plan after the halving event is the best time to obviously sell the miners, not before. Unless you're trading it, then obviously you guys can trade it. I don't trade it. I'm a long-term investor. I look at spot buys and things on when they're depressed, when there's fear in the markets. That's when I want to buy into it, and then obviously I'll start dollar cost averaging out when things are getting a little too heated in the market as well. All right, so that's it. I just want to point that out to you guys. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments below. I'd love to hear it from there. And let's take a look at the miners here for the weekly here. So we're seeing a similar story. Obviously, the miners are going to be down quite a bit from where actually Bitcoin is, but we'll take a look at it. On this chart, we're looking at the 52-week lows for the miners, and they're from the 52-week highs. So the green is how far the miners are up from their 52-week lows, which you can still see here that a lot of the miners are way up from their 52-week lows, which happened in January. Bitcoin right now is 139% up for the year, basically from 52 weeks ago. It's only 1.6% away from its new high within the last 52 weeks. So they might be flipping here on us a little bit here. Everybody else you can see is way below that. Miners that have done obviously worse here in the last 9 months, you could say, of this year, 52 weeks, is Hive is just barely below Bitcoin right now. CleanSpark, TeraWolf, BitDeer, Mawson, and Sphere 3D. Ones that have done the best are the ones to the left. You can see those. And let's take a look at how Bitcoin actually performed this week compared to the miners here. And if we look at that, you can see that Bitcoin is actually up 7.43% on the week. Bitfarms actually had a pretty good week, 2.56%. Marathon was up 2.13%. DMG was flat, and then you got everybody else here doing a lot worse. So we haven't seen this too many times happen before, but we are starting to see it more and more here in the second half of the year as we get closer to the halving event. And we may continue to see this a little bit more going into the halving event, like I said before. Okay. If we look at the 4 weeks here on the miners as well, we'll do that. See how they've done prior to this week. So we're going to do that descending. Okay, we can see that Bitcoin now is up 25% from 4 weeks ago. DMG is actually up 26% as well, so that's done a little bit better than Bitcoin, but then everybody else here has done worse. And the worst ones that have done from 4 weeks ago are Sphere 3D, Mawson, and TeraWolf. You guys can take a look at the numbers here for all those. Okay, so if we look at the 8 weeks here, we can see the same kind of thing happening. Bitcoin obviously is up 40%. DigiHost did a little bit better, 46%, but everybody else has done obviously worse here. With the worst offenders, BitDeer, TeraWolf, 3D, Iris, Mawson, and Core being in the mix there as well. So let's take a look at the 12 weeks here really quick. So if you bought from 12 weeks ago, this is how you'd be stacking up right now. And Bitcoin is up 43% from 4 weeks ago. DigiHost up 32, DMG up 22. Those are obviously the very small, what is that, tens of millions market cap stocks. Those have been doing pretty well here recently because I think it's just some bottom fishing happening there. But the other ones you can see are way down. BitDeer 71%, TeraWolf down 48%, Sphere down 31%, Iris down 29%, CleanSpark down 17%, almost 18% from there. So it's one of those kind of patterns that we're going to probably see until the halving event or the spot Bitcoin ETF happens, whichever comes first. And that's something that we are just going to have to deal with, unfortunately. Looking at it over here, we can see that Bitcoin on all the weeks here is in the green. We got a little bit more mixed numbers here on the miners here that we're seeing. And then if we look at actually the weekly numbers, we are seeing that Bitcoin is having more green days out of the last 12 weeks than the miners are. So that might be a trend that we're going to continue to see going forward as well. All right. So that's it, obviously, on everything here. I think that I wanted to cover. Let me know what you guys think of this. Obviously, the spreadsheets are going to be available to my Patreon members there. It's still $5 a month for that. You get a lot of data that I collect, and that gets updated several times a week. So you have access to all that. We also have a great Discord community there as well, which is we have a private server there. And we have a lot of great conversations there as well, not only about Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy, other Bitcoin miners, things like that. So it's always fun there. So I appreciate everyone joining there, and appreciate you guys watching. And we'll see what happens, obviously, later on this week. We still have some quarterly results that we're waiting to get on some of the miners here. Once those get released, then we'll do basically a grade on all the miners for Q3 results. Okay? But other than that, be patient. We're still in this for at least another year, year and a half before we peak on everything. So good time to dollar cost averaging, like I've been saying. Not financial advice as always, but that's kind of what I'm doing. And I've done that last week. I'll continue going forward as well, as long as I have the cash to do it. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.